What's up, dude?
Hanging out. What about you?
About the same, man. I'll tell you for myself, I am definitely seeing sort of the market slowing down a little bit now. I mean, I know we've talked about it, but I'm seeing where in the last couple years, like buyers didn't really have a chance to even slow down and think about purchase or contract or anything like that. I'm seeing like on the listing side, I'm seeing less showings on listings, seeing less offers on listings, and I'm seeing buyers really like take their time a little bit more with the contract process and with the due diligence process. Where I think,
do you like that?
I mean, it's good for it's good when I'm on the buyer side for sure. When I'm helping a buyer out, I really like that I can tell my buyers like, okay, you don't have to completely give up your appraisal contingency. Some still do on some, but not all the time, and you don't have to give up your due diligence. You can take 5 or 7 days due diligence, that kind of thing. I like it then, but when I'm on the listing side, it kind of makes me nervous a little bit once we get under contract, because I'm definitely seeing like buyers are taking their time a little bit more and being more thorough than they were, which is good for them for sure. But with there being more listings available, once we're under contract, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to stay with us. With more listings coming up, there's always like some concern that, oh, wait, now that more inventory is coming up, maybe they'll jump ship and go somewhere else, which happened in years before. In the last couple of years, that hasn't been the case, but in years before, that definitely was the case, where somebody would get under contract and then just change their mind because something else came on the market.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've been through that as well.
Yeah.
And it's even frustrating on my side because, let's say we get the appraisal ordered and appraisal's back and we have it through underwriting. Oh, by the way, we're terminating, going to another property. We have to start in the mortgage world, we have to start a whole new file. So it doesn't, like, we can't just like change the address in the file to the new address. Like that is now then null and void, right? We have to get rid of that file, start a new file, and it's actually a new lock. Like, we can't transfer a lock from property to property. So let's say they were locked in at 3% on property 123 Main Street, but then they terminated that and they went to 567 Main Street. That 3% rate doesn't go over to the new property. We have to lock it market rate. And so
they could lose. They can,
yeah, because the lock follows the address.
Do you always have the opportunity to warn somebody about that before they decide to switch?
It is, but the thing is, like, you got to think, like, the past 2.5 years, or let's say 2020 and 2021, that wasn't an issue, right? Because
there wasn't anything else available,
right? But 18, 19, that was, we did see that, but the rates weren't moving daily like they are now, right? Because like we're having just these huge swings. Even last week we had just huge swings in rate, and even today bond market's improving, and so interest rates came down. So like today we're in the, let's just say for a layup deal, we're in the high fives. Well, that same deal last week was 6.25. Even yesterday was 6 1/8 to 6 1/4, and today it's 5.875. Let's say on a layup deal.
So rates were not changing like that back 18, 19.
Not as drastic as what we've seen. I mean, you're talking about the most volatile market we've seen, even in the stock market. Just some of the huge swings in the stock market.
Oh yeah, I know. I
mean, we're losing 500-600 points a day, and then the next day up 500-600 points a day. I mean, that's crazy.
It is.
Oil, I mean, oil's down today. I think there's just so much recession fears that everybody's just kind of putting the brakes on. So whatever. Yeah,
definitely. I think there is a lot of fear of that out there right now. I mean, as far as I can tell with the housing market, even though we are having, we're seeing more listings coming up, homes sitting on the market a bit longer. I mean, we're not talking about like weeks and weeks, but average days on market is creeping up into like the week territory, and we're seeing more expired listings, but for the most part, still in a very strong seller's market. I was going to pull this thing up too, though I can't
wait. I can't wait for the June numbers to come out to see what the inventory levels
are at. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, we went over that before. I went
It
over
was
the
at
May
1.3.
Yeah, went over those before, and you know what's interesting, and what we may want to do this time is wait like a week into June, because of like the closings and everything. Like it doesn't really affect inventory that much, but because of closings and pending sales that haven't been recorded yet, some of that still lags like a few days or like a week into June. So we may want to wait a little bit, but got a couple people watching, so I'm going to go over some of these numbers real quick, though I can't share my screen for some reason right now. But this is the last 7 days. What's interesting about this is the number of price decreases over the last 7 days. So there were almost 3,000 new listings, 2,928 new listings over the last 7 days. But there were also 1,741 price decreases, which is a big number considering how few listings are on the market. How many of those did take price decreases? Expired listings, 122. I mean, that's it's a lot. It's not like a huge number, but we, for the first time in a long time since I've looked at this, are seeing more new listings than closed listings. So only 2,352 listings closed in the last 7 days. And like I said, 2,928 new listings.
When you're talking about the price decreases, does it give you an opportunity to see like what price point the majority of those decreases are in?
Not on this Market Watch thing. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just haven't dug that deep into it. This is just a little Market Watch snapshot. It's not the full charts. And on the full charts,
I didn't know if it broke it out to like 500 to 600, 400 to 500, whatever it is, all the way, you know, to see like, oh, well, it looks like this price point is getting hit harder than, you know, the 200 to 300.
I don't know if price decrease is on there, but you can do that. You can break it down by zip code, by neighborhood, by price point, all that stuff. So definitely have to do that at some point. One thing that I wanted to talk about too that happened to me this week, speaking of homes sitting on the market and homes, you know, some homes expiring, some listings sitting on the market, some doing price decreases. I did want to say that it's still, you know, I had something happen to me this week that really does prove that who you list with really does matter. And I'm not saying I think I'm the best real estate agent out there, but you know, some people may disagree, but I think I'm pretty good. But not just talking about my experience and what I do, but finding someone to work with who is a dedicated real estate agent, who is going to work with you rather than just basically putting you into the pool of sellers that they have, like some of the larger companies, some of the discount companies. I have a listing now that we listed on Thursday. We're under contract now. We had multiple offers, got under contract in the first weekend for over list price. That listing had been listed with one of these discount brokers. I'm not going to mention which one. Had been listed previously and was on the market for 45 days with very few showings and no offers. And the sellers contacted me after that time, were, you know, not happy with what was going on with it. So within a week, I had my photographer go out and get photos. We relisted it. And like I said, you know, through our marketing and other things, we were able to get it under contract in the first weekend. So that, you know, that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was just me. I'm not just saying I have some sort of magic power, but it does help to work with an agent who's going to be focused on your listing rather than just throwing it up. Some of these discount brokerages are basically just like for sale by owners. And we know that for sale by owners take longer to sell and sell for less than professionally listed properties. So anyway, just wanted to mention that.
Do you think, so let's say you're the buyer's agent, and I'm not saying you would do this to your clients, but do you think that other buyer's agents, they see that, oh, you know what, this property's listed by XYZ, I don't want to deal with those people. Oh, you know what, I know Tyler is a great real estate agent. I know he's professional. I know he's going to treat our customer correctly and professionally and all that, blah, 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 all the way down. Let's go see Tyler's property. We're not going to go see XYZ's property. because I don't like dealing with some call center or somebody who really has no idea about the property, and it's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to deal with it. I'm going to be working both sides of the transaction because I'm going to be working with XYZ. Do you think real estate agents stay away from those things, and that's why they're on the market longer?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, I think that's part of it probably. I think, if you're a buyer's agent and your buyer really wants a property, you're going to do what you can to get that property for them. But if you are already going into this thinking, I like this property because I know that this real estate agent over here is going to be easy to work with. I know that they're professional and they know what they're doing. And then you have another one that you're like, man, I don't want to have to work with this. I know this system is going to be really difficult to work with. And then you make the 2 phone calls, and you make the phone call to the agent that or the agent that is a professional agent. They answer the phone, and then you call the other company and nobody answers the phone. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of times is how that happens.
And it just takes forever for everything to get, on that discount side. I think it just takes forever just from the lending side. I know it takes forever to get amendments back, and it just seems like everything just takes a little bit longer. It's not like working with you at KW and another agent in your KW office where it's just like this. Everything's so much quicker and smoother than having to deal with whoever it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's some of those companies, some of the larger ones, like some of the really big ones, when you're communicating with them, sometimes you're not even communicating with anyone here in Georgia, and,
right. And then you have a time change. Like, for example, let's just say it, like Open Door, whoever it is, like they're in Arizona, right? So they're 3 hours behind us. And let's say we needed something like really, really fast, it's really hard to get, right? You're waiting for an extra 3 hours until hopefully they come into the office.
Right. And you're negotiating, and it's not even really negotiating, but if there was any negotiating, you're negotiating with, someone in an office in a cubicle who doesn't know you, doesn't know the buyer, doesn't know the listing, probably definitely has never been to the house before, and they don't really have any vested interest in that. When, on the other hand, if you have an agent like myself or any of the other Keller Williams agents, Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, a lot of these, Engel and Volker, these people that are really like boots on the ground listing agents, they have a vested interest in that home. They know the home, they know the seller, and it's important to them to get that transaction done properly. So
I agree 100%.
Cool, man. Well, that's it. And I'll see you next week. So thanks for hanging out.
You guys travel safe. Okay.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Man.
Bye.
See you.